Hi, this is week 3 in your January 10-minute fitness challenge. I'm Laura. This is Kuhn, Kraft, Yoga, and Design. If you're new here, welcome. I'm glad you're joining us on this challenge. And if you're a returning subscriber, I'm so glad to have you back. Today is day 2 of week 3, and we are back to lower body. Today we're going to focus on our inner thighs, and we're going to get right to it. So let's go ahead and come to a seated position on the center of our mats. We're going to take a seated butterfly. So let's bring the soles of the feet together. Draw them as close as you can to your pelvic area, and we're going to allow the knees to come out to the side. The closer you are to your pelvis, the more of an angle, the more of a stretch on the inner thigh and also to the hips. From here, we're just going to flutter the knees. So we're going to actually use the strength of the leg muscles to try to push the knees down towards the mat. We're going to warm up the inner thighs and the hips just by sitting here and giving our butterfly a little flight of its wings for about the next 30 seconds to maybe a minute. Get comfortable in this position. Feel how strong your inner thighs can be. It is something that I think gets neglected often and can be quite surprising how weak this area can be when it's just neglected, because we have such other often used muscles surrounding the inner thigh, like the very large portions of the quads, and then also the hamstrings, which get very tight from how often we sit in our day-to-day. All right, a little warm up there. We're going to move into our yogi squat. So let's prop ourselves up, take our feet out, maybe just a little wider than hip width distance apart, and then the toes are at a diagonal. Now we're going to move in our yogi squat. Just to get started here, just to feel our way into the squat, I do like to rock and shift from one ankle to the other. Elbows are pushing into the inside of my thighs to keep the knees nice and wide. At the same time, my chest is open, lifted. I'm wide across the collarbone, and my back is as straight as I can be, so I'm not slouching into the squat. When you are ready, come to a stillness in your yogi squat. For our next movement, this is an active hip and inner thigh movement in our malasana. And we are going to drop, starting with the right knee, to the inside, staying lifted on that left foot. And then we're going to come back through center and then drop the left knee in and then come back to center. This, no doubt, can be very challenging for many people. So if it is too hard for you to stay in your yogi squat, then I suggest coming to a seat so that your tush is on the ground, and then you can draw your feet in as close as you can, and then you're going to move from side to side, dropping the knee in and then opening back up this way. It is a great place to start. Wherever you're at, find your comfort zone. Yogi squat or on the ground, and we're going to start to drop the knees in one at a time. We're going to go for 20 reps. So that's 2 and 3, 4. You're going to feel the hips start to get nice and warm. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. All right, let's come back into our yogi squat. Take a moment, inhale. When you're ready, we're going to push the hips up. We're going to stretch out the back of those hamstrings. Just take a moment in this forward fold. And then we're going to sit the hips back all the way down onto the ground. We're going to do some practice leg lifts, and I'll give you a couple of options. An easier option is to take the one leg. We'll start with the left side if that's where you're starting. And then the left side, the right foot draws to the inside of that left inner thigh. From here, we're going to take some leg lifts by just lifting the leg up and then lowering it to the mat. It does not need to come very far. Now, the closer you are to an upright position, the easier it will be. The more you walk your hands out and over the leg, the harder it will be. Your other option, instead of having the one leg bent, if you want more of a challenge, you can come into a wide-legged straddle. No worries here whether you have the one leg bent in or not, because we are going to do both sides of the body. And from here, we're going to begin over on the left side. We're going to do 10 lift and lowers on each side. Do your best. Sit up tall if you need to. And then just try to lift that leg any bit you can up off of the mat for 1 and lower. Lift and lower for 2. Lift and lower for 3. Lift and lower for 4. Lift for 5. Lift for 6. Lift for 7. Lift for 8. Lift for 9. Last one, lift for 10. And then lower it back down onto the earth. You may get some cramping into the thigh. Just give it a big old whack with your knuckles and you'll loosen that back up. And that's also obviously very good hip work. You could feel a lot of cramping just into that entire upper area. But great, very challenging mobility movement for you. Let's turn and face the right leg. So now our torso is over the top of the right leg. If you have the bent leg, you're going to have the left foot to the inside of the right inner thigh. We're going to lift and lower for 1. Lift for 2. This is harder for me on this side for 3. Lift for 4. Lift for 5. Lift for 6. Lift for 7. Lift for 8. 2 more. Lift for 9. And then last one, lift for 10. Lower it down. Give the thighs a little tap, a little love tap. Maybe take a couple of windshield wipers to loosen up the hips. Really getting that lower body today. A different kind of movement. When you're ready, we're going to push back into a downward facing dog. Moving on to the next thing. Press firmly into the mat with your hands, spread the shoulders wide and across the back as you push the heels toward the earth. When you're ready, we're going to lift the right foot up. Draw that knee in, into the chest. Place the foot down in between the hands. We're going to turn the back toes up. Maybe widen the stance a little bit as we lower into Warrior 2. We sometimes forget how great the warrior poses are for our inner thighs and legs, but they are very challenging. Let's hold here for a breath. And exhale it out. When you're ready, inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, come into a runner's lunge. Lift the back heel up off of the mat. And then from runner's lunge, we're going to push up, lean forward, start to come into a Warrior 3. From your Warrior 3, we're going to hold in our Warrior 3. If it's helpful for you, you could have a couple of blocks down in front of you for balance. That can be very nice. Right now, I'm just going to take my hands and take them just above the knee onto my right thigh. We're going to do lift and lower the back left leg for 10. Balancing here, keeping the inner thighs glued together. Feel like you're trying to draw everything into that midline. Last 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And when you're ready, we're going to take a big step back with those toes. Inhale up to crescent. And then on exhale, we're going to lower the hands back to the earth and push back into our downward facing dog.
From downward facing dog, let's inhale the left foot up to the sky. Exhale, draw it through. Bring the knee to chest. Place the left foot down in between the hands. Spin the back right toes up as you windmill the arms up. Sink into the hips. Maybe widen the stance as we come into warrior two. Full breath here as you feel the inside of those thighs open. Challenge the legs, the back leg, as much as the front leg as you hold here in your warrior two. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, windmill the arms, come back into the runner's lunge, lift up onto the back toes of the right leg. And when you're ready, we're going to shift forward, changing the balance, changing the weight, coming into warrior three. Now on the left side. We're going to take those same lowers and lifts with the back right leg. So you can use blocks or have your hands onto the top of the left thigh. Lower the right leg down for 1 and lift. Down for 2 and lift. 3, lift. 4, lift. 5 and lift. 6 and lift. 7 and lift. Last 3, 2 and 1. We're going to lift, hold here, take a big step back, inhale the arms up, coming into our crescent lunge. Let's take a nice deep inhale and exhale it out. Bring the hands back to the mat. We're going to push back into a downward facing dog. You can go ahead and take a nice deep inhale and exhale through the mouth. And when you're ready, we're going to step forward with that right foot once again. Walk the hands around to the left side of the mat. And from here, we're going to take some Skandasana lunges. For these Skandasana lunges or spider lunges, you can either come all the way down onto the mat in a full Skandasana, or if that is too much, requires a lot of hip strength, you can also walk the hands over from the left to the right side. We're going to start those Skandasana lunges, going for 8 rounds on each side, starting left, moving to the right. As you come into Skandasana, point the toes upward on the opposite leg. Over to the left for 3, and right for 3. To the left side for 4, right for 4. To the left for 5, and then over to the opposite side for 5. We have our last 3 reps. Last rep each side. And when you're ready, we're going to pick the hips up, spin the toes so that they face that long edge of the mat. Allow the back to come to parallel. And then we're going to forward fold in this wide-legged forward fold. One last stretch to close out our class, to open up into the back of the legs. Walk the hands underneath you. Maybe they are in line with the ankles. Feel the tailbone lifting up towards the sky and the back of the legs straightening. Have some weight into the ball of the feet. If you feel like you're going to tip, you can always keep the hands a little bit more in front of you as a little bit of ballast. And when you're ready, we're going to inhale, come up to a halfway lift in your wide-legged forward fold. Walk the hands back to the top of the mat, step the right foot to the back, and then just come to a kneeling position. And that is it for our inner thigh and lower body workout today for our 10-minute practice. That's all it took. I feel like I moved a lot in just 10 minutes, although I have been working a lot of yoga videos so far this morning. But this is always a great challenge, even just to get 10 minutes in. So we should give ourselves a little, hey,
good to go. Good for me for hitting that play button and doing this challenge. I hope you'd enjoy this. If you did, go ahead and leave a message and hit that like button. Subscribe so you get these practices every single day for the month of January. As always, have a good one. Bye.